there, my name's Jill Tiny. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learned an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Hello and welcome to Collaboration Global's Being Human, Hidden Depths. My name is Jill Tiny. I'm the founder of Collaboration Global, and this is the podcast where we find out more about people at a deeper level. It's all very well going to a lovely networking event and having a chat and saying, hey, what do you do? Well, we don't really care what you do here at Collaboration Global. We care about who you are being, what you're passionate about, and what you love. Now, we're very lucky that 7 months ago, we had a podcast with David Liddle, and he has returned again, so we can go even deeper into the conversation than we did last time. So welcome, David. Lovely to have you for the second time round on Collaboration Global.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I think you're making history. Does it feel like you're making history today?
In what aspect?
Well, you're the first person to come back twice.
Oh, am I?
Yes, you are indeed. So
Good.
We shall remember it forever and hopefully have you back third, fourth and fifth time. So we are basking in the gorgeous June sunshine, and a lot of people are trundling back to work, back to the office. And you've got an office or two where you are a mortgage consultant. You founded that with your business partner. Just tell us briefly, just start the ball rolling. What's the market like at the moment, and how many people are getting mortgages, and is it easy to get one?
It is. Basically it's what you make it at the moment. For people who walk in unprepared, without doing the market research, without actually taking proper advice, you're not going to get what you want. It's no surprise there. The banks are more complicated than they ever have been, which is a great business for us. But for those who actually take the time to understand what's happening and what they can do, what's actually acceptable given the current lending criteria, there's so much more that they can actually achieve that people don't actually know. Which is great. So the banks are keen to lend. It sounds kind of silly to say that banks make money from lending money, but they do. They are keen to lend. They've got an infrastructure they need to maintain and continue. So it's good. Business volumes are definitely up across the market, and the industry is generally fairly buoyant at the moment. Yeah,
I mean, for anyone listening, don't switch off. We're not talking money the whole time, if that's not your bag. But it is just interesting to realise that. So whenever we've got a mortgage, the biggest thing the banks want to do is sell you insurance on top of it, life insurance and all that kind of thing. And it takes hours to get through the protocol and see this person, then go and see that person. And the last time we moved, we timed it. It was like 7 hours of our time sitting in the bank waiting to talk to the right people. And it's like, we can't charge them for that. It's quite frustrating when you're your own boss. You just think you're costing me money. 7 hours like a day's work, isn't it? That you can't ever get back because they just want to flog you stuff, basically.
It is, but it's also about process. The big banks don't have the ability to be flexible around you as an individual. Ultimately, in banking terms, you're a number, and you're one of many millions of numbers. So they don't have the ability to flex and be accommodating in the same way that a broker would be.
So do you think people are going to get fed up with going to the big boys like they are with a lot of other organisations at the moment? People are going to the local high street for the independent shop rather than dashing down to Tesco's, or as a comparison, do you think people are just not happy with banks and would rather deal with the human face of finance?
I think that's been the way that it's been for a long time. It's definitely more of a shift now. People are keener to find out what they can do before spending the time trying to do it, and that's why, really. If you ring a bank up, they're all the same. They'll all say, "We will look to do X." Well, what does "look to do" mean? Will you do it or will you not do it? Whereas the broker market will tell you that pretty much up front without actually submitting full applications. But it is about being open and transparent and doing things properly. In the same way, actually, as if you went to a doctor, you'd have a very direct, very open, very frank conversation as to what was going on. And that doctor would say, well, yes, you could do this or this. This is the course of action that I would expect you to take. Let's work through it some more. And it's exactly the same thing. The market has got more complicated, and it's down to relationships. The better the relationship with the broker you're dealing with, the better the deal you'll get, because it's important they understand you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, because a lot of people worry about talking about very large sums of money when they're talking to someone, unless they've had a personal recommendation. There has to be an element of trust there, doesn't there? And one of the things we were talking about the other day, you're one of the crew that come to Clubhouse. So if anybody's listening to this podcast and want to join in the conversation, you're welcome to come to Clubhouse, which currently is at 8 a.m. on a Friday morning. David's part of that. And we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about trust and how you build up trust. And as the person that needs to be trusted, how do you kind of elicit that from the people that, how do you get them to trust you? Or do you just kind of leave it with them, go, look, this is me, take me or leave me?
No, because I think that's kind of arrogant, but there is an element of that with experience. I think if you're new to an industry, then there is an element of kind of prove yourself. I think once you've been in an industry a long time and can do the job successfully, then we're in the lucky position that all of our clients are referral based. So everything is referral based. So there's automatically a rapport element in there to start with. There's automatically a perceived relationship with the client at the outset. But yeah, you still need to have a bedside manner. As with anything consultative, it's important rapport is there. It's important that you are talking to clients on their level. There's no value in me making myself sound incredibly clever to somebody who just doesn't get money at all, which is a lot of people. At the same time, we need to meet, should I say, senior bankers and stuff on the same level, because they want to talk about things in a certain way. So it's about being flexible enough to talk to clients in a way that they can understand the information, because there's lots of ways of doing things, but it's rapport building.
Yeah, I think what you said as well is getting to meet them where they are. This is the hard thing, is if somebody's never dealt with money in their life and they've just come into inheritance and they're not sure how to go about it, then you've got to speak to them with, like, if you've got 5 jelly beans,
not quite. And we regularly get sent spreadsheets in from people who are newly into property investment, and they've met somebody on the internet, or they've gone on a mentoring course, and they've been sent spreadsheets, and they fill them in and they're asking questions and they don't actually understand what they're doing. Oh, okay. And it's important to kind of take a step back from that and say, right, what are you actually trying to achieve here? Where do you want to go with this? What's the end game with this? Do you actually know where you're going? It's all very well starting with spreadsheets, and that from an accounting perspective may float your boat, whatever. But it's important to start at the beginning and say, where are you going with this? Do you understand what you've got, what your options are? And meet them where they are, not where they necessarily think they are.
Yeah, I think that's so true, though, is people like to make informed, empowered choices, don't they?
Of course.
And when if they've got a bad relationship with money, then it's very nerve-wracking for them to do that. And so I would imagine somebody like yourself, I mean, what's your relationship around money? Have you grown up earning your pocket money, or did you get your first job when you were like 15, or how?
I did. My first job was working dog kennels, looking after animals. I wanted to be a vet when I was young. But I think if it comes to money, what means more to me? Money, the experience means more to me than pounds and pence. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I am, as you said earlier on, it kind of two halves really. I am definitely in my element, in t-shirt and shorts, off doing something in the outdoors in pretty much any weather.
It doesn't cost you a penny, really, does it?
Well, it depends what you're doing, and I love my kit, so that does, unfortunately. But it's I think understanding what it can do for you and what it can facilitate in your life and how it affects your friends and family. That's the most important thing. So when we're talking about property investment and raising money for that kind of thing, what you'll generally find is that people will have a range of emotion around that. There can be some guilt in there. They can tend to be proud that what they've got, or hugely grateful that they've been given an opportunity.
Oh, we've just lost the connection. Hang on a sec. I'm going to pause.
Come into it. It's always interesting to look and discuss. Oh, you just lost me there, didn't you?
Yes, hang on a second.
I'm not sure where that went off.
Okay, David, so what's your relationship with money? Is it something that comes easily to you? Is it something that, you were telling us about having a job earlier on, but okay, so you've obviously had a good experience around money from an early age. When you chose to be a mortgage consultant, was that a conscious choice of, yes, I know this would be really interesting and I'm fascinated by it? Or was it something that kind of chose you and you just kind of, whoop, here I am, what happened? How did I get here?
Yeah, I'm not sure that the emotion was like that though. I started working for a financial services firm, and kind of ended up in the property market more by accident. Industry's changing that way, and people move naturally. So I don't think it necessarily needs to be a conscious decision. I don't think that the mortgage game certainly didn't exist in the current format back then.
Yeah.
So
are you kind of, if you had your choice again, would you continue trying to be a vet, or would you kind of go, actually, I want to be in the big great outdoors? Maybe you'd be on spring watch or something.
Probably. You know what? When I tried to do a year out when I was at college, I wrote to every single national park in the States and Europe.
Wow.
And the job offer, I got loads of job offers. I was really surprised, but none of them wanted to pay.
Oh.
The one I was most interested was supervising something. I can't remember what it was in a bit of the French national park, which Val d'Isère is in. So that could be a bit of a giggle for a season, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Not a lot of wildlife and lots of snow to look after. But I definitely wish I'd done that. I think to spend a year in an American national park or something like that, I think would have been absolutely amazing.
Even if it'd been voluntary, hopefully something would have sprung off from that, and it could have been.
Yeah, that's not a negative thing. I can still spend lots of time in the great outdoors. It's not a bad thing at all.
But you might even give up mortgage consultancy at some point, because I've met a lady the other day, and she's, I think, 55, and she's just off on her first gap year. So it's never too late.
Well, hopefully. But there's lots of other people that we can meet and go on adventures with. So that's all good.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of the attraction for you around Collaboration Global, I'm assuming, is being around like-hearted and like-minded people. And part of what we are about is we're making small impacts, lots of them, to help a lot of people. So fundamentally, at heart, we want to help people. That's the bottom line. So if you were able to change one thing in the world that kind of drives you nuts at the moment, apart from the pandemic, we'll just put a little pin in that over there, because I don't think we can do anything about that at the moment. But if there's something that kind of, so for example, my thing from a very early age, I don't like anything that's unfair. If they can do it, why can't they do it? They should be able to do it. That's not right. They should. Why can't he do it? She should be able to do that. It just didn't make sense. I remember as a young kid, I said to my mum, what do you want to be when you grow up, Jill? I said, I'm going to be a docker like my dad. You can't be a docker. Why not? Well, that's only men do that. Men can, well, I'll be the first woman docker then. It was just so obvious to me. What's your problem? Why can't I? I'm going to do what I want to do.
Is that a capability or an accessibility question? When you're saying I can't, is it because the opportunity to do something's not there, or is it because you're just a bit rubbish and can't do something?
Well, I don't know, because I think if you really want to do it, you're going to find a way, aren't you?
Well, I'm never going to be a world-class figure skater, am I?
Well, have you not read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week? He just chooses what he wants to do, and he goes off and he does it like to the nth degree and becomes a world champion at it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's this mental strength. I mean, talking about mental strength, that's one of the things that you've done that I have not got involved with, is neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah.
And you use that quite a lot in your business as well, don't you?
Not directly, but not directly, but yes, directly. It's made it's not used as in any way as a manipulation sales tool at all. It's used as a communication tool. And I think that's a very important difference. The communication with our clients since we started doing those courses is just so much better, because it goes back to just meeting clients where they were faster. So it's so much faster and so much easier. It's incredible. And that's how it should be. So I think from an enabling communication point of view, it's been incredibly useful, as have the coaching courses, because it's just honestly, it's just like chalk and cheese. Massive difference. It
enables you to see things from a different context, and
to
help them walk around and see it from a different context as well.
Absolutely. But also not necessarily expecting people to walk around and see my viewpoint of things, because some people just won't.
No.
I mean, I work with some people who have completely different attitudes as to what they want to do with their time. I'm never going to sit and persuade them that my viewpoint is necessarily right or wrong. You know, when it comes to getting people to do daft outdoor activities, they either want to do it or they don't. You know, it doesn't make one of us wrong. It just means that we have different viewpoints, and I think that's healthy. I mean, if we were all the same, it'd be very boring, wouldn't it?
Oh my goodness. I remember going on an away day once, and it got to the end, and we'd driven tractors steering the wrong way, and we'd climbed mountains, and we'd done some air rifle shooting, and now the pinnacle was, let's build a raft and get across the lake. And I'm like, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, actually, I'd love that sort of thing, to sit back and watch and see how everybody gets on or not.
I did the opposite. I organised everybody. So there were 2 teams. So I was organising our team so well that we won, but everyone realised that, hang on, did you actually go across the lake, Jill? Yeah, didn't you see me? I'm not sure. And they all thought I'd gone, and I never did.
Yeah, but don't you think a lot of those things completely miss the point? It needs to be about the team. It needs to be about people gelling and getting on. And so much of it turns into kind of male bravado and it's just, and it's not what it's about.
Yeah.
You know, but you can have this thing.
They want a winner and a loser, and people just don't want to. And then it becomes an emotional, like, I've got to win because that's, you know, I'm the big I am. Where it's like, no, let's just see who does it best, or who's the most ingenious, or who has got a brilliant idea, and which one floats better. All those kind of scenarios which would make people go, oh, look what they're doing, that's a good idea, let's see if we can do that over here. It's this solution focused mindset, as opposed to, don't tell them what we're doing, come on, we're going to do it.
Get involved. It doesn't matter if things fall apart in that environment. It's about having a go and having a laugh. And not falling in, obviously. Well, I think you should fall in, definitely. It's more of an experience.
Okay. I'm sure. So tell us now, because obviously some people aren't aware, you go out a lot and do silly things outdoors, but you're part of an organisation, aren't you, that you help younger people? Do you want to share?
Yeah, I do a lot with Scouts, which I love. I think it's a great way to give back. It's actually a great way for adults to meet new adults and have a bit of a giggle as well. It's a very, very easy place to meet like-minded people. You know, and one of my favorite things is lighting fires and sitting around them. And where better to meet people who like doing that? You know, it's the Scouts, a fantastic organisation with lots of people who are fairly driven by the same values, which is good. It's obviously a values-driven organisation for the right reasons, with a huge amount of diversity in there. So as with all things, the more diverse the organisation, the better it is. Which is fantastic. That doesn't necessarily mean everybody needs to be all in the same place at the one time, but it does need to be accessible, which is good fun.
Do you think there's a need to separate the sexes like they used to, like the Girl Guides and the Scouts? And
no, No, is this contentious? No, not really. I think depending on the age of the girls are usually more applied and better than the boys. I think girls mature earlier than the boys do anyway. I mean, certainly my 8-year-old daughter has, in many ways, we forget that she's still a little girl a lot of the time. But no, I think it's hugely beneficial to have boys and girls in the same place doing the same things, because they're all as perfectly capable, if not more. You know, it just depends on the ages, and some like certain things. They're like any of us. Some like some things, some like others.
I used to think when I was younger that there were certain things that girls couldn't do because of strength, just pure, you know, boys were generally taller, stronger, and therefore girls couldn't do it. But when you see things like that SAS program, have you seen that on TV where it's like, I don't know, a dozen people, it's usually 6 women and 6 men. I've not seen many of them, but I've seen kind of the outcome, and it's the mental strength that is profound. And when you look at that and you think there is nothing that a woman cannot do, and there's only one thing that a guy cannot do, and that's have a baby. But apart from that, we are...
No doubt that will come soon.
It's quite sad. And it's just why we have to be pitted against each other.
Well, we don't. I read an article the last couple of days about training for the special forces, and they were basically going through the people who never ever made it, and they were saying things like the big butch muscly guy from the gym who's out to prove something never makes it. The people who are out to do something for prove something for the wrong reasons never make it. And it's the scrawny people, the people who've been picked on, who've had the mental resilience to stand up and be counted. It's the ones who get stuck in and support their team members. And it's not necessarily about being the biggest and the best. It's about who can gel in the same way. And I've seen that with young people and adults. Obviously not kind of that level, but if you put people under sufficient stress in a nice way, some deal with it and some don't. You know, it should never be a damaging experience, but I think it's great for young people to experience that kind of thing.
Yeah, like you say, it should never be a damaging experience. It's like if somebody's teased because they haven't done it, or, you know, made to feel bad because they haven't done something.
No, they should be empowered.
Remember you saying to me once that you have, I don't know if you do it every time you go out to camp, but you get kids to eat bugs and things like
all sorts of things. We did locusts and cockroaches and stuff a couple of weeks ago, and chocolate. They're actually quite nice. But what is really funny is that if you got a young, let's say 7-year-old beaver, and if you gave them a chocolate with an insect in it, and told them what it was, it'd be then they eat it and they go, oh, that's all right. So I've got a video of a leader doing exactly the same thing, and what made it so funny was that all the leaders who were present for that activity all said, oh, that's disgusting. And then 2 of them said at the end, oh, can we take some home for our other halves to try? And it's such a funny exercise, because it doesn't matter on the age. It's exactly the same thing. It's this preconceived idea that something should be bad, and yet it turns out not to be.
But and also some people, a bit like going back to money, and people have their stories around money, like it's the root of all evil. I need to have more. If I'm not successful with money, then I'm nothing. All those kind of weird stories that we've been indoctrinated with from birth. It's the same around food. I used to share an office with someone, and every single day he would have a soft white roll with cheddar cheese, and that was it.
Really?
Every day of his life, that's what he has for lunch.
Okay.
And nothing else. And it's like, if he goes out somewhere to a restaurant, chips, that's all he has is chips. Occasionally a burger, but mostly chips. And it was like his diet was so reduced. And the thought of him having something different, have you tried ham? Have you tried boiled egg? You know, something quite innocuous. You know, no. It kind of brought him out in this sort of red flush, because his story around food was that I'm going to choke. I'm not going to be able to keep it down. It's going to make me sick. All these kind of things. So as adults, we know that logically locusts have got a huge amount of protein in. Most insects have something that's useful for you. But it's oh no, in this country, we don't eat it. If you go to, is it Thailand? Delicacy is guinea pig. And we go, oh no, fluffy guinea pig.
Know.
But you eat rabbit, what's your problem?
Yeah, that's true.
Rabbit stew, yum. It's really strange how easy it is for us to kind of get panic and fear from an idea of what might be and what isn't. And I guess with your neuro-linguistic programming, you can, utilize that on your children, can't you? It's kind of, okay, think about this and think about that and wish. And
well, I mean, what in that environment, what's the worst thing that can happen? I mean, it's not, I would never put a child or an adult in a position of danger. So it's all, it's a very different thing.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, even when, even if we were teaching kids how to use knives and stuff for kind of woodland activities, it's not, they're not running around the country. Sorry, they're not running around with knives, but we would give them the freedom to have that sort of thing. But it's teaching people how to use a tool. It's putting things into context, framing it in the right way, so that they see it as a beneficial, useful object, and then they don't muck around. It's not. If you tell kids you can't do this, what are they going to do? Are they going to do exactly what you told them not to? Whereas if you teach them, empower them, and give them the space to do it and make mistakes, then they generally do it a lot better.
Yeah. There's a story about a famous actress whose name escapes me now. She's since passed away, and she used to foster children in between acting jobs, and she'd have like 8 or 10 of them floating around, but they were children with troubled backgrounds. And one time, like 12 o'clock at night, this child was brought in a rush to her, and I'll look after him, don't worry. He was 6 or 7, and apparently he was a pyromaniac. He absolutely loved lighting fires and had burnt the previous house down. That was why he was there. And they said, keep matches away from him and don't let him go near the cooker and all the rest of it. So it was a very old house, Victorian house, and there were fires in every room, all the bedrooms and everything. And it was his job every single day. She gave it his job, this 6-year-old or 8-year-old, whatever he was, to go and light all the fires.
Yep.
And it was just this release of, he was given permission to do it. So he was very responsible about it. And by doing all of that, he then started talking and was able to then explain what his fears and his pressures and all that kind of thing came out. But he was given that responsibility. And I think when I was a teacher many years ago, that was my thing, is give the naughty ones, they weren't naughty, they just didn't fit into that environment. Give them some responsibility and some acknowledgement of being good. And then they just flourish, and then they just grow, and you can see the self-esteem just, they get bigger and bigger.
Well, very few people you'll ever meet are inherently evil, are they?
Oh, exactly.
So you've just got to find out what makes people tick.
Yeah. And if they're damaged and they are wanting to damage other people, it's because they've suffered.
Yeah, not necessarily saying you should let them, but, asking the question, asking the question as to what and is everything all right as a start point needs to be a good thing.
Yeah, I love that. Ask, is everything okay? Talking about kids, you mentioned your daughter at 8. How old is it? You've got a son as well, haven't you?
4 and 8.
4 and 8. What's your philosophy around education? Have you had fun home educating? Would you home educate out of choice, or? No,
not a chance. I can honestly say I've got no idea on this planet why anybody would ever home educate any child of any age, especially if you've got more than one.
Don't beat around the bush. Say what you really think.
No. No. It's. I think the pandemic's been good because it's in the aspect that it's given people a renewed appreciation for teachers. I know quite a lot of teachers, and there is something about the way a good teacher can manage an environment with lots of kids in it that I don't know what it is or what it is that they have. But if you could bottle that and sell it, it'd be worth an absolute fortune. It's an amazing social skill. To be able to lead a group of kids and get them to even remotely all move in the same way is just amazing.
Yeah, there's a bit of magic in there. It's
totally.
And they never paid enough for what they do. And I think half of the stuff they do, they shouldn't be doing. Like, anyway, that's a whole other subject. I'll get off my soapbox because, I loved being in the classroom. I loved being with children, but I didn't like going in the staff room being given a wodge full of policies could you just read those before next staff meeting, please? Because we need to comment on them.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
It was just horrible. You don't go into teaching for that purpose, do you?
No, not at all.
If you could give your kids the best advice in the world for their life and where they want to go and what they want to do, what would you say?
Get out and try absolutely everything once.
Everything?
I think too many people don't try things because they think they can't or they shouldn't, or people like them don't have the opportunity to do it. Just go out and try everything. And it doesn't matter if you make a mistake. Go out and screw it up completely and decide if you want to do it again. Have an experience, fall in. You don't need to be perfect at everything. Oh. Actually, more people I know have more fun not doing things well than doing things well. You don't need to be an Olympic fencer to enjoy playing swords in a field with a couple of balloons. It doesn't. Half the fun of the things that we can go out involves just having a laugh. Yeah. Doesn't it? You don't have to be a 2-hour marathon runner to go and enjoy doing the London Marathon.
Yeah.
It's not. If you actually look at the times the majority of people take, there's a small fraction do it really, really quickly. It's not about that. It's about getting out and having a go.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you muck things up or fail at things. It really doesn't. It's just get out, have a go. If you decide you don't like it, don't do it again.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what you say is ultimate, is have fun, because why are you doing stuff that is not enjoyable?
Yeah.
I will. Sorry.
I will make them try everything though. Don't sit and say you don't like mussels and then not try them, because that's ridiculous, because then you're missing out. That was a big mistake, because it's now it's literally like a kind of a tag team match over mussels at the table, watching my kids with a cheese fondue. It's literally, it's like swords at dawn. It's ridiculous. But it's important. One of our scouts once said, actually, it wasn't one of our scouts, one of my staff, when we were over in France, we had a fondue, and he said, what kind of people have fondues? I was like, what kind of people don't have fondues?
Yeah.
How have you not had a fondue? So things like that are such a social family thing, and I love my cheese, clearly. But it's such a nice thing to do as a group of people.
But it's this kind of who does this and who doesn't do this. It's like,
what on earth are you talking about?
Exactly, and it was a very big fashion fad, wasn't it? In the 80s, everyone was doing fondue. And
maybe.
Great. And then it kind of went out of fashion, but it's just melted cheese and it's great, and you put different flavors in. But it's the same thing. Like, we drove past, is it Cowdrey Park the other day, and they were playing polo on the field.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, lovely, how super. Well, all of a sudden, I'm like, it's what the upper classes do,
It's not. It's not. If you go, my parents live in Berkshire, and we've been to polo tons of times. And actually, the best matches are when people reverse, when there's none of the public there, and people reverse their cars right up to the to the little fence, and sit on the front of the car, sit in the front of the car, I'd be pointing forwards and watching. It's very much it's not quite a get involved game, but it's a much better experience to do that. Or you can cycle into most of these places and go and sit and watch for free. And the best matches I've ever seen have been when we've just wandered in on random days. Or last polo match we went to was in France on the beach, and it wasn't the fastest because they were also on sand, but it was really good. The kids got a really good experience.
And again, it's that experience, is it? You've got to try stuff out. You've got to give it a go. Is there anything you wouldn't give a go? I know you've done wing walking, haven't you?
I wouldn't do that again, definitely. I'm toying with doing a parachute jump. I wouldn't. I don't think I'd do a bungee jump again. I just didn't enjoy it. It scared the living daylights out of me.
Yeah, I think
weirdly a lot more than standing on top of a plane. So I'm not sure. I've done lots of paragliding, so I'm not sure actually jumping out of an airplane would be that much of a problem for me. I think I'd have to answer bungee jumping again. It didn't really do anything for me. I think the thing that frightened me was when they stand up, you've got to hold it with your fingers and your thumbs over the ledge so you don't get your fingers caught. And they say 1, 2, 3 jump, and you can feel the rope pulling against your ankles forward. And I just distinctly remember I'm not doing it. And the only reason I did it was because the guy said that, if we're gonna have to take it down, you're gonna have to tell your friends why you didn't want to do it. And that was the only reason I did it, but I didn't enjoy it.
No.
I'm not sure I'd pay 50 quid to do that again. Just didn't do it for me.
No, I don't like the sensation of falling. So I'm not a great one for fairground rides or anything like that. So it doesn't appeal to me.
No.
I don't have a need inside me to try everything in the world. I'll just go, no, I'm good. That's fine. I don't need to jump out of an airplane. I'm okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'd be disappointed if I hadn't tried it though.
Would you?
I still think I just genuinely have this need to have a go. I don't need to do everything well, far from it. But I do want to have a go. And if I enjoy it, I want to do it again.
Yeah. A friend of mine climbed, she climbed up and she abseiled down a water tower for charity, and she loved it. The adrenaline was flowing. So she signed up immediately for the following year to do more charity fundraising and go down the same tower. And she said the second time it was horrendous.
Oh, really?
Absolutely horrendous, because she had already done the adrenaline run thing. So she's just looking forward to it, and she's okay. And she's like, well, this is more steeper than I remember climbing up, and that's a bit further down than I remember, because the adrenaline had just kept her going the first time. So she was really scared. And then she came at the end of the second time and was like, I don't like that at all. I'm not going to do that again. It's horrible. But, you try it and you see what you're capable of, I guess. It's pushing yourself to the limits and the barriers and finding out. It's like some people. So an example, one lady said that, I've not done very much in my life, and I don't know if I'm capable of starting my own business, and it's such a big jump, and I don't know, you've got to be a special sort of person to start your own business. And I'm like, well, I've started my business. No, you don't. It's fine. And I said, so what have you done in your life that you're proud of, that you've tried out? Oh, nothing. There must be something. Come on, let's find, And I was thinking of tiny little things that she could do. She said, well, I did go to Australia for a bit. I'm like, okay. I said, what, with friends on holiday? She said, no, on my own. Okay. How long for? Oh, about 3 years. Okay. So she just went off and emigrated on her own for 3 years with, she started as a holiday, and then she got some temping work, and then she stayed there for 3 years.
Brilliant. Great experience.
Exactly. And it's like, well, I don't even think I'd want to try that. And you just did it off the cuff. And you can't run a business. It's people's perceptions of what their own capabilities are quite often hinge on the people that are around them. And
yeah, I'd agree with that.
Whether they're saying the magic words like, go on, you can do it, or whether they're going, oh, are you sure? Really?
But you don't have to do everything with those people. I mean, you don't need to be persuading the people around you that they need to come and do what you want to do. There's lots of other people out there who will do those things, and a lot more joyfully. You just go and find them.
Yes. You are the average of the 5 people you associate with, aren't you? And as you say, if those 5 people aren't going to be backing you, I've got your back, let's do this, then you go find other people.
But there's also lots of people out there who'll support you, but don't necessarily want to do it. If I was to ask my wife if she wants to go and, take a bunch of kids and sleep under a bush during a survival weekend,
I don't think so.
It's like, where's the nearest hotel?
Yes, that would be me.
But then there's lots of leaders who say that at the same time. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing to do. It just means that's not what floats their boat. There's no point in trying to shoehorn everybody to do the same thing. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't make people bad.
And the variety of the people that are around, that's the beauty of it, isn't it? And
absolutely.
I think as well, having that confidence in yourself to go and try different things. And then, as you say, go and find those people that will support you. And that's one of the things I like about Collaboration Global, is that you might feel like you're one person amongst many, but if you put a call out and go, I want to try this, I'm not really sure, can you? There's going to be people that go, yeah, go on then, I'll do that with you.
Absolutely. There's more variety. All you need to do is ask.
Yes. So when you were a kid, did your parents kind of go for it, son, go on, give it a shot? Or were you kind of like having to break out and go, I need to do this for myself?
So yes, no, we did quite a lot when we were younger. Not so much when we've got older. I would say that's a midlife crisis thing, but it's not. It's not.
Not a midlife yet. Flipping out.
No. Because what is a midlife crisis anyway? No, it's not. It's not. I want to get in and do stuff. I want to have experiences.
Yeah.
I want to get. I've just got my got membership of the Serpentine Swimming Club again. And it's like, honestly, it's like gold dust getting into there at the best of times. And I'm really pleased because it's such a nice thing to do. You know, it's a silly experience, but it's such a lovely group of people.
So you swim every day of the year? Is that the kind of plan?
Well, there is no, I won't, because I can't commit the time to do it. But yeah, there is people who swim every day, literally every day of the week. I've been in there when it's when there's been ice in the water, and it's just a really nice experience. But everybody who turns up is going to do it. You know, you wouldn't turn up there in the morning and somebody would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's a bit cold. We're not going in today." They turn up to go in. It's not a, you know, this isn't an excuse scenario, and it's another environment where you can meet like-minded people if you want to be daft enough to get in there with ice in it.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like my cup of tea, but
it'd be lovely this time of year. It'd be absolutely fantastic this week.
Yes, that's true. That is very true. And it's like these people that swim in the sea, isn't it? There's a club in Brighton or something with Hove, and they swim in the sea every single day.
Yeah, there's clubs all around the country like that.
Yeah, good luck.
Good for you.
Well, I think we've kind of covered everything that was on my list. I'm just looking at my little list now. We talked about raising your kids. We talked about your relationship with money. If you could change one thing in the world, did we cover that?
Yes.
You could change one thing in the world. It's finding is trying everything once, I think, because we're only here once, aren't we? And you've got to have that opportunity to
don't miss out. Don't miss out because of other people's lack of enthusiasm or lack of willing to try, because that's just stupid.
Yeah, and it's especially when you've got people around you who appear to be concerned for you, but actually it's their fear that's making them say the things.
And that may be justified, by the way. You know, when there's people in any scenario, there's people who will who'll be the one. They'll be the ones saying go for it, and they'll be the ones who will be acting like kind of weights and measures and compliance. Yeah. You know, is this really a good idea? Do you think it's, you know, is it a good thing to do? And that's fine. That doesn't need to make things wrong. There's always going to be a place for people like that in every relationship. That's important. Otherwise people would get hurt, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try and do things.
Yeah. So what's your next big challenge? What would you love to do next? Crazy thing.
I don't know. Do you know what? I don't know. I've got tickets. I've got a place for London Marathon in October, but I don't know really. I quite fancy doing something over the summer, but it all depends on whether we're allowed out or not.
Yeah.
Really?
Have you ever done an Ironman?
No, I haven't. No. I'm told it's not far off doing a double marathon effectively. So and I know I can do that. So
yeah.
That's quite a big commitment though, because you've got effectively 3 events that you need to properly train for.
Yeah.
And that's quite a commitment in time.
Yeah. But if you do it, go and do it at Tenby, because that's much nicer for your supporters to wander around while you're swim or your cycle. They can't see you. It's very pretty. We did it for my son-in-law when he. Yeah,
I'd like to do that, but it's just a case of having the time to put into the training to do it properly. Because I think that I'm up for having a shot at everything, but I also know where my limits are without putting the effort in, and I don't want to end up hurting myself for the wrong reason.
With 2 small children as well, it takes, there's other considerations. It's different if they were teenagers and you'd be saying, like, come training with me. But at that age.
it would be a bit silly at the age of 4 to say, hurry up, get on with it, you know.
Put him on the backpack, though, so you could...
Oh, he's heavy. He's heavy.
Oh, dear. Well, listen, David, thank you. It's been an amazing conversation. We've covered lots of ground. I'm really glad you came back for a second bite of the pie. Thank you for being one of our phenomenal, committed, showing up members at Collaboration Global. And you truly epitomise that as a human being, you have hidden depths, because I love the fact that you'd give anything a go. So I'm now going to be mentally thinking like, oh, what else? What else might you do? Have you written a book yet? That's a different kind of challenge.
I've written a fairly large chunk of it. I just haven't actually got around to doing anything about it.
It's on its way.
Which I will no doubt get a ribbing from by certain members of the group.
I'm sure. Yeah, for sure. Well, they'll challenge you. That's the whole point of getting together, isn't it? So they can
but in a nice way.
It all happens. Thank you again for joining us. If anybody would like to meet David, you can come and meet us at our Collaboration Global sessions, always the last Tuesday of the month. You can find us and book in by going to Eventbrite and look for Collaboration Global, or go to our website, collaborationglobal.org, and you can book on directly there. Or if you want to listen to him having a good chat and giving his opinion, we're at Clubhouse. So if you go to Clubhouse, Collaboration Global Club, you'll find out when our next sessions are. Currently 8 o'clock on a Friday morning, but they might move, so just check us out as well. And thank you again for being here, David, and hopefully you enjoy that lovely countryside that's behind you at the moment.
I will.
All right, take care. Thanks a lot.
You too.
Bye.